Salvador Dali threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
Ione, Skye.
Yes, Bentley.
In the lore of Weirder Together, in the canon, in the intriguing and fascinating guests that have come through here so far, there's been actors.
Yeah. And there's been
Comedians.
Yes. What
There's
else?
been musicians.
Yeah, for sure. And
There's
mothers,
been photographers, mothers, fathers even.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, not my father, but
Not yours, but Stephen Ogg is a father.
oh yeah, and Charles Fleischer.
Charles Fleischer,
Father-
world-renowned father.
Father of a friend of ours.
Father of a friend. What we have not had is a toy maker.
That's true.
And I was looking at, the list of guests, and I saw this glaring omission. And I thought, if we're going to be taken seriously as a podcast, you can't be a relevant podcast without having a toy maker guest every now and then. It's Christmas, the season of toy makers. I mean, really, is there a better time to have a toy maker on than around Christmas?
I know, that's right.
To honor Father Christmas, the original toy maker, and his elves that also they helped him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they designed or did they just implement his designs.
Probably both.
Yeah. They were like, he was like a creative director. Santa was the first modern project manager.
And it would mean that they kind of made every toy in the world.
Only for Christians. They're not making those dreidels.
That's true.
Let me tell you.
So yeah, this is very exciting.
It is very exciting. And we have with us today Dan Polydoris. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
From Chicago?
Yes, all the way from Chicago here.
Born in Chicago?
Yes, born right outside of Chicago.
Wait,
suburbs.
like Evanston, that type of
Yeah,
world?
right around there. Wilmette is where I'm from.
All right,
Bill Murray's from. So.
Oh, nice.
You know Lauren Lapkus?
No, but I
Mike
knew
Castle,
Lauren through the Chicago stand-up scene during the end of the 2000s, beginning of the 2010s.
Cool. Liz Fair also around
Yeah,
there
went to my high school.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What was her reputation in high school? Was she like a brainiac?
Oh, I don't know. I missed her.
No,
so.
but wasn't there, people didn't whisper?
Oh.
People didn't say there was this brilliant conceptual, musician?
No, it was, I was in there in the late 90s in
She'd
college.
been forgotten.
So,
How brutal, the Chicago high school.
Yeah, it's cutthroat
world.
there.
It's cutthroat.
Yeah, the North Shore Chicago scene.
What do you have to do to make an impact?
Yeah, you did. This is the second time I've seen you in person because I saw you at the Metro.
Oh.
When you were playing with
Was it
Wayne? Fountains of
Fountains
Wayne?
of Wayne.
Yeah. It was an awesome show. You did
Cool.
everything. You were looping stuff, and I
Yeah,
remember
that
like,
was
this
fun.
is awesome, and that was a fun show. And my brother and my brother Mark, who's a big fan as well, we had a nice time. So technically, nice to see you again.
Wow, good to see you again.
What's the Metro like? Is it fun?
Metro's a great theater. Yeah. It's like, what is it, like 1,500 capacity?
Yeah, it's a real small.
Great. It's like an Irving
intimate.
Plaza type. It's that, and it's where like Chicago bands, even once they got big, would do like a homecoming show, and
Totally, it's a fun venue.
So cool. So I guess to explain how you ended up here, should we begin with this piece
Yes,
you made?
absolutely.
Okay.
So, and this was you gracious to say, let's find a way to collab.
Let's do something together. Right. We met on Instagram.
Yes, absolutely. And this is my professional traveling. So what I brought, I don't want to give anything away and hide secrets. So what I brought for you guys.
Whoa.
Oh my God, that's
this has been through TSA.
amazing.
Oh my gosh. Let's get a
Can we
real
look?
good.
Give it a proper show. Oh yeah, there's the camera. I didn't even know where it was.
Oh my gosh. The very first of many
This
Weirder
is
Together action figures.
amazing.
Unreal.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Just like the real thing.
this
It
is
A
incredible.
little smaller, but
So
Wow.
I love this so much.
Oh,
and
man.
we've got two, and we're gonna keep one, and we're gonna come up with a good competition.
sure.
Right?
Oh, awesome.
For
Some way
to-
I love
Folks
that
earn it.
this is just so reminiscent. This style of toy is just the old school, the proper, these kind of toys. That
it's
I
my
mean,
love. There's old Star Wars toys,
that's right.
old G.I. Joes, 70s, 80s. That's
I'm an old.
just breathe that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was born in '70, so I grew up perfect for all this stuff. My brother had a
you
GI
had
Joe.
Joes. I had Masters of the Universe.
Yeah,
and
that
Voltron.
me too. I have a
Yeah.
Voltron in my bedroom, and I got Castle Grayskull. I mean, I have that. It's a
yeah.
ton of 80s stuff,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
70s stuff. So yeah, that is like a inspiration
good.
for, you know, kind of behind most of the stuff that I make. It has that old school feel.
Oh my God,
it kind
it's
of has that
amazing.
nostalgic feel. And
Yes.
the first things I ever made were just very nostalgic-y things.
So did you come through like fine arts or graphic design and sculpture? Well, like how'd you end up in this world of making? So I became aware of you because you make all these funny, dark, conceptual, pop culture influenced toys.
I wish our kid was here
I know.
because she's so she wants to learn how to do this. I don't know exactly. She wants to do kind of, the
little
style.
sculptural claymation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's more complicated than, and she looks at YouTubes and stuff, but it's like, I think she would need to like be with someone. Did someone teach you or you figured it out?
No, I was an English major, actually, of
wow.
all things, and was a copywriter for 15 years. And in 2020, end of 2019, I finally gave up copywriting, and I finally gave up corporate America, and I finally admitted, well, I forced it on everyone else, that 9 to 5 doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Everyone kept telling me for years and years, you'll get used to it, you'll get used to it. And after 15 years, I was like, when do you get used to it? It's been a long time of not being used to it. So I finally quit and started doing this full time. What led to me doing this was while I was a copywriter and miserable kind of doing it. And I just started painting toys for fun in my basement. I was waiting for my first kid to be born, 2013, 2012, and painted some Star Wars figures, oddly enough. And
Wait, meaning you took ones and repainted
yep,
them? Or,
just
okay.
took them right off my shelf and was like, we'll cut this guy's head off and we'll make them look like old Nintendo figures is what I did.
Yeah.
And just posted them for fun, and someone wanted to buy them, and I was like, okay, sure. And made more, kept making more, and that was 2013. And as of a few years, do it full time now, and just kept cranking them out, and trying new things.
So now this was right before the pandemic.
Yeah, my timing worked out crazy.
Yeah.
So 2019, we're gonna get grim and weird for a minute, was watching my mom die. My mom died January 2020. And that was when I had kind of a bit of a meltdown of just like, dude, we all just die. Like, I don't want to just die miserably being a copywriter that I don't want to do. Let's try this. How hard could it be to find my own health insurance, to have to just try to figure out taxes on my own and all that stuff? And that stuff just seems daunting because I like toys, I like art stuff, but I'm just stupid with grown-up things kind of. But I was like, we could do this, let's figure it out.
Welcome to officially being an artist. I feel like we're all like that. We're idealists, we're romantics, we got a lot of ideas. The actual execution of real life is more challenging, but
can't handle
that's
what
our
a mortgage is or any of that paperwork. But going through a loved one dying, my mom dying, you're forced to make all these really rough decisions that are really traumatic. So after that, I was like, if we can like have a discussion about how to bury mom or what box we're going to burn her in, it's like, Jesus, I think I can handle like picking a healthcare plan. You know what I mean? So gave it the sort of plunge. January of 2020, bought myself a printer for packaging and stuff, got a computer, everything ready to go, started going. And then 2 months later was lockdown. And I was sort of like, oh, okay, great. This worked out nice.
Yeah.
So I used really the beginning of 2020 or all of 2020 to kind of just feel my way around doing it full time. And just honestly, my goal for the first year was don't go as bankrupt as you possibly can. Was just, I'm not looking, we're not going to clean house here.
Right.
But let's just try to just minimize the bleeding that's going to come out here. And we have slowly over the years.
But I guess you also benefited from, like anyone else who had an online business going by the time the pandemic hit, there were more eyeballs on social media than had ever been before. Because I think that's when I started seeing it all circulating.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was like really,
Yeah, we definitely all looked to our phones. And we all started, I don't know, kind of using that audience a little bit.
Totally.
Of just like, we're all, here. Let's So being home, just cranking out stuff. And yeah, I was fortunate enough, like you said, that like we're just kind of home. I mean, it was rough too, because it's like people were out of work for so long. So then to come to them with the sell
The
of, like,
disposable toy income,
Yeah.
the collectible figurine income was not as like the priority, you're saying.
right,
Yeah.
especially when it's stuff that I'm making that's just very juvenile or very stupid. And it's like, you want to cough up big bucks for literal garbage that I've repackaged or whatever. But I've lucked out, and
Yeah.
you know, people have kind of hung in there, and don't, you know, I always say, don't abandon me, please. Just stick around.
Did you have the name from the beginning, Death by Toys?
No. So actually, around 2013, when I was doing this, when I first started painting figures, I ran a website called Chicago Toy Collector. And at the time, since I was a writer, was kind of writing about news, Chicago toy things happening, new stores, conventions, and posted those onto the site. And it was like night and day. It was like, oh, this is what a post looks like, where people give a shit about what you're writing. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, all right, well, I'm going to make some more of those, because that was fun.
Yeah.
And kept doing it, kept making more. And then somewhere along the way, I didn't want the name to sound like Chicago Toy Collector. It just sounds like a publication. It sounds like a pamphlet you would
It sounds
read.
square too.
A little
It's
bit.
not-
Hey,
yeah,
gang!
yeah, yeah.
You know, so no, I just spent like a good 6 months kind of brainstorming what I wanted to do. I wanted it to maybe sound like what could be like maybe a toy brand if I decided I wanted to keep making more toys, which is what happened. I wanted it to sound like something that if I stuck with writing a little bit, it could kind of fit with that. While also checking GoDaddy for those,
What's
open-
available.
Yeah,
And then what was the first one that like popped off on social media? Like what? Because you obviously started your account now. I feel like so many people follow you, and people are invested. They love it. They love your sensibility and humor. But when did you start feeling that momentum?
Honestly, and it's actually strange. It started happening at something that I thought was going to actually tank and go the wrong direction. Before this, I had been making, like I said, some Nintendo figures. I made some old Atari figures from my like Pitfall favorite childhood Atari games. Love horror movies and got into horror stuff. And then at one point, I was like, what if we took a cotton ball and put it in John Carpenter's The Fog package and just made it The Fog, the action figure or whatever. And it was like one of those moments where we're like, wouldn't this be awesome? And it's like, I don't know. Would it be awesome? But I did it anyways.
So you are confirming that marijuana is involved in your creative process, just to be clear.
Not integral.
Okay.
But it's involved in the non-creative process
Okay, gotcha.
sometimes too. And I posted it, and thinking like, kind of battening down the hatches, being like, I don't know, I could see horror fans being like, what is this? Like, this is stupid,
Right.
Messaged a guy from a horror site and was like, hey, just heads up, if you want, here's a thing about these. And he's like, I just bought one, I love it. And he had already written a thing. I was like, it's a minute later. And then they all sold out real quick. And that started
That's
making the rounds. And that was sort of not necessarily, I mean, it was sort of one of the first things that really kind of made some traction. But it was the first time for me that I was like, okay, I will kind of lean into something if I feel like maybe it's if it feels genuine and something I want to do like that. Like I said, I was like, oh, this would be funny. And I made it look like the old packaging, and Carpenter's my favorite director. Yeah. So it's like a little just labor of love. It taught me to just go with that sometimes, I mean, it doesn't always work out, but I mean, what is this stuff about, if not just to kind of do something that feels
trying
right.
stuff that you like? That reminds me almost like a comic strip, like some of that idea,
like a 3-panel
yeah,
strip.
like
I know what
that's
you mean.
fun.
And people have made that comparison before.
Right, yeah. I mean, not everything does, but that particular one sounds like it in a really fun way.
Well, it's also like there's essentially a central joke or premise.
Like a punchline
Punchline.
to
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end
yeah.
too. Right, exactly. And I like those. Those are the things that I really like to make. And the stuff like that, where especially when you step back and I brought a couple examples.
Oh yeah. Let's
show one of the pieces, and I think that really kind of sums up my love for, I love sculpting figures, and I sculpted those for you guys. I'll show you kind of the process for that. But one of my absolute favorite things is not sculpting a figure, is just taking something that you every day, something you have, and you would never even think that you could repackage it. And one of the first things I did with that was I went with nothing. I was like, we're going to do nothing. We're going to put nothing in a package. And we're going to put nothing in a package twice on the same package, which then gave us this.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And, oh yeah.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. That's so
That was
brilliant.
another one where I was like,
Yeah.
are people going to turn on me for
Right.
trying to,
Oh my God,
like, is
that's
this a hustle? You know, you're
brilliant.
like trying, and it's not like
That's
I'm marking these up to,
amazing.
you know, $200. You know, they're the cheapest thing in my store.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
That's fair enough. That's well priced.
No, but still, it could be. You
More
never,
the most expensive.
But that if that was really big, you could sell it in a gallery for a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I
Tape
suppose
the
I've
bananas to the wall.
Yeah, I've made so many of them. They're everywhere. And God, yeah,
So wait, the first idea was, okay, what's a way? I'm just trying to understand the process. You had the idea of nothing.
right. And
What
I
if
had-
the figure is nothing?
right?
Yeah.
And the first one in that, along with this, was to do a single bubble, which is a deadbeat dad. And it's just an empty thing, like the dad's gone is the joke. Ha ha ha. When you have to explain it, it's always hilarious.
Little close to home.
I'm like, not you. Oh, my dad. Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. though.
That's funny.
And I like that. And I've seen a ton of variants of that over the years, which is nice because I did that, I don't know, like a while ago. And it's nice to see that idea keep getting used, like during the Ocean Gate thing with the submersible, just a Hot Wheels thing with just the empty bubble of the Ocean Gate submersible someone made. And it's like, oh, I'm not laughing at that, but that's an interesting piece and an interesting take.
Well, there is a darkness in a lot of the not a nihilism, but either a despair or a terror about life in a lot of the pieces. I think.
Yeah,
But
sure.
it's good to make things funny. It's so, as we know, like that helps.
It does. And I cope with stuff that way
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Because life is hard. And if you're just, leaning into the hard only and no kind of.
it will
It would
break
be,
you.
yeah. You got to be a
And-
little absurd once in a while and funny. And,
Yeah. And it kind of gets you through it.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I guess a couple other dark
yes,
pieces
please.
are on that note. Oh wait, I want to hide your surprise back.
This is so fun.
I know. It's like a
I was so
fun.
nervous coming here.
Oh,
Ben, hopefully this doesn't hit close to home at all.
I
So this
love
is
that
another.
one.
Oh, thanks. This one's
Oh,
for you
that's
guys.
great.
There,
Oh my
keep it.
God.
oh, that's great.
It
So good. So relatable.
we all know him, huh? And yeah, and that's another type of thing that I like to do toy wise is
That's great.
first time I made that, it was for an art show that I did, and I painted a figure. I gave him the goatee. He had the kind of douchebag clothes, and I did it, and people loved it. I never know what people are gonna like, and that
Yeah.
one by far was something that people really wanted. So after that guy that's in that package now is just some farmer figure that I bought like 200 of from China or whatever, and you just like through Alibaba, or I'll use Amazon sometimes. And if it's a piece that people really want, I'll do something like that. I'll find a solve for it, or I'll just buy like a cheaper figure that looks okay. Got to paint the goatee on that guy for whatever. I feel like he's got to have that.
Yeah.
Just glue. Sorry, I keep whacking this mic. I'm sorry,
okay,
you
it's
guys.
okay.
I can't have nice
It's
things.
Oh, no,
fun.
okay.
That's nice.
Glued the guitar to him, and then was able to just make like bulk of those at a lower price.
So
for
you can
people.
respond to the ones, some you'll just make a few of, and others that pop a little bit, you can just respond to the demand and churn them
Totally.
out a little.
So another
cool.
example is I took, I was buying that farmer guy in a set. So I'm stuck with all these other pieces from it. And it's like, I don't need some fisherman boy. Like, how am I going to do with that? Or it's like, I'm stuck with all these farmer women. So I took one that fit into a bubble that I had and made that. And again, this is just the same. It's
Amazing.
just some gal,
Yeah.
but it's, I gave one to my therapist, so she knows that I made this.
So good.
But
She probably appreciated it.
yeah, she thought it was funny, and she knows I appreciate her, and vice
Yeah.
versa. But it's stuff too that so I've never had anything manufactured overseas. I've never done any of that. I'll source, like I said, just figures that are made to buy them in bulk. But I'm yet to have any piece made in overseas. It sort of feels a little bit against the spirit of what I do, a little bit.
Right.
But it's also that I like the idea to be able to pivot real quick. Something happens, you can kind of make it for fun.
Right.
Stuff like this is stuff that factories can't always do on
like
an
an
angle with like, so it's kind of nice to have the freedom to do stuff on my own, when I want, what I want.
And how big is a run of like your most popular ones? Like how many would you end up?
I mean, usually I'll do runs. I moved this guy away. Sorry again.
All good.
I'll do, at a time, 10, 20, because that's about all I can manage. I'll make sure I make everything first instead of made to order. Make it first, do it again. And that means there's certain pieces that, I mean, I've sold 1,000 of those thoughts and prayers.
Wow. Cool.
And some are maybe just 20, and that's it.
Have you seen a secondary market at all pop up of people like reselling them as collectibles? And
Yeah,
stuff?
a little bit.
In their stores and stuff, or bookstores.
On eBay.
Or eBay. eBay.
And sometimes I'll buy, like people who own like a brick and mortar will buy stuff. And if I know they want to keep it in their store, like, I don't have that factory produced discount that I can offer people.
Sure.
But it's like someone, like I run some little horror shop. It's like, okay, I can get down with that. Like, just take these for free and just, put them in whatever you want. And here's some camaraderie in the horror.
Spread the good
community.
word.
And,
Or in
we're
like,
all just
what
a
is-
bunch of strange.
Yeah, my kid, we liked, when we couldn't think of stuff to do over the summer, we would go down to this, in Burbank, there's one of those comic book stores, like a big comic book store that
Posters and
posters
stuff.
and
Oh,
comic
nice.
book stores, and they have, whatever kind of things in it. But it's such a cool scene. I don't know, there's such a cool scene in there. We got to know some of the people who work there, and I don't know, it's like a whole world. It was just something.
Very territorial.
Yeah, it was just
Like,
something to do and just chill out in there and walk around. And I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a different. It is its own sort of scene.
They
But
would
it's
love
awesome.
those. They would love your stuff. But being at like I mean, you're like an artist. I mean, I paint, and I'm just thinking about like when I paint what I like you. It's so vulnerable. You come up with something and you think, I like this, and then maybe people don't respond, and then something you don't really like, and then or you like, but then people totally respond. And for me, I only got into problems if someone would commission me to like paint their kids or something, and I'd feel all of a sudden like, oh my God, I have to paint your children, and what if you don't like it? And then all of a sudden I lost all. I mean, I ended up doing it, but you would see how
It's tough. Those are tough.
agonizing.
Yeah.
But I think, and I've never properly been in the art world where you have to do a whole series of paintings, and then, it's one thing to just do it for yourself. But this seems like nice because you sort of do what you think is fun and funny and inspiring, and then see if it hits. And then, whatever the demand is.
Right. And that's the formula I've kind of been fine tuning.
Yeah.
This was my last year, 2023, I think, of really doing commissions for people. Those just throw a wrench in the
I know,
system.
it's
Are those
just
personal or
weird.
corporate or what?
It depends. The only ones I really will ever do anymore, the criteria is it has to be for someone who I love.
Yeah.
And that could be like a family member or like someone who I respect, you guys, or a project I really, really like.
Yeah.
If it's like a movie I like, I do stuff for some studios,
Oh,
a
that's
lot of
cool.
horror
Yeah.
stuff. So I'll get on
yeah.
board for things like that. But no, if you're if I don't know you and it's like, can you make a figure, Uncle so-and-so? It's like, no,
I
no,
know,
I
it's
can't.
hard.
I don't
Well, it's also,
wanna
it's
go-
going to end up it's great it's in someone's house, but you want to feel that the work, I mean, I've always had a personal issue with, like doing Patreon or these like paywalled campaigns that limit the exposure of the art I'm making.
Me too.
Because I firmly believe in at least the chance of an accidental interaction that could make something really happen.
Yeah.
And the idea of like putting in all this effort to this work and it only being available to it's not, I'm a populist in a certain way. I want to believe that my work is for everybody.
Yeah, and it is.
And it's not always
I think.
realistic.
No,
but it's,
But I think that sentiment is awesome, and I would agree.
Wait, so back to toys in general. I do, because before you started making them, you were obsessed with them.
Your
Yes,
favorite
it's-
toy was your Master of the Universe?
Master of the Universe, but I also had a Smarty Bear. Do you remember those?
That's
They were like a Teddy
Australian,
Ruxpin
Yeah,
spin-off.
was it here? That was Australia or here?
That's
No, it's in
just-
Australia.
Okay.
I thought it was available here.
I
but
don't think America would have Smarty Bear.
Smarty
but-
Bear.
Smarty Bear,
Smarty Bear.
but he talked like Ruxpin, you
He
said?
talked, but it was like in the ads, because I was little, I would have been 5 or 6. I thought I was getting a friend that I could converse with. And he really only knew 3 or 4 phrases. He said, "Oh, sure," and positively. And I just remember this like deflated feeling that it's a feeling that you get in life as an adult, you know? It's like, but this was my first taste of it, I just got sold a dud bill of goods,
But it's
basically.
funny because some, like those commercials, which they were so good for toys,
Oh, yeah,
toy
80s
commercials. And like sometimes it was clear you knew this is not you're not really going to get this whole world, but the toy and the imagination was enough where you didn't feel fooled. Like, you know,
not for Smarty.
but Smarty Bear,
didn't
like
Smarty Bear, whatever
maybe
it is.
like, yeah, it really fooled you in the commercial.
Is there like a holy grail in terms of your personal collection of toys, of something you've always wanted that you had and don't have now, or that you've always wanted? Or
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe a couple really weird variant old school Star Wars figures, because I bought that whole line before my kid was born. And that's like probably my favorite thing, is just the whole vintage Kenner Star Wars line. When I was a kid, that's what I played with when I was first. I mean, so like, you know, when you were kids and you'd buy Smarty Bear, you buy toys, and then you get older.
Said so dismissively. I'd like the name Smarty Bear to be uttered with some reverence. I'm still a little protective in the hopes that our friendship will still blossom.
Don't
in
you
Smarty
have
Bear.
him?
I do
Is
have
he
him.
here still? There's hope then
Yeah,
for you.
he's in my daughter's room or somewhere.
All
He's
right, well,
around.
let's
Yeah,
make
yeah,
this-
we'll find him after.
Let's see what we can do to
Yeah.
make this relationship really happen for you, dude.
But so wait, you had the whole Star Wars?
No,
Or
I
you always
had a few
wanted
as a
it?
kid, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
loved
yeah,
them, and
yeah.
I always was like, I would just like to have them all. And then somewhere, I just, you know, you buy toys as a kid, and then you get older, you get into adult things, you start looking at boys or girls, or as you're getting older and your body starts changing, you become a grown adult. That part physically happened for me, but I just kept buying toys throughout all of that.
Right,
and
yeah.
I wasn't sitting in my backyard at age 20, like, fire the missile. But I was like, well, we'll get this up here on the shelf and don't
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah.
And
So did you have like all those there's like Japanese collectible type thing? That's not your world.
Doesn't
All
Paul
80s.
Shear have like a lot of people have a lot of toys?
I know. I'm just curious which. So
No, I'm not defending. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking of other people. that
yeah.
have, like,
No, I
collections.
do. It's like what you were. So I have a ton of He-Man, Masters
Yeah.
of the Universe.
okay,
stuff.
so all nostalgic stuff. Though.
Yeah, for the
okay,
most part.
okay.
The only stuff that I have that is like new or not a nostalgic thing is horror stuff. I also have
yeah.
a ton of horror collectibles, just because that's a huge thing for me.
No
But-
Sunny Angel babies for you.
Do you know what those are?
I can take you to our daughter's
They're
Sunny Angel
those
baby collection after
surprise.
this.
I don't know when surprise toys started, but that's such a thing for that started where you don't know
like
what
the
you're
blind
getting
box?
in the
Yeah.
blind
Yeah,
box.
my
So
daughter
these
gets
are
after
just
those
they're like
too.
they look like Cupid dolls. They're Japanese and they're
Oh, cool.
They're basically Cupid dolls all in different thing like all outfits and things. But
Yeah,
right.
it's
cute,
huge.
naked.
Also, it's funny. I
Sure.
was like praying every time we'd get one that it would be one she liked because she was just hitting puberty and getting very moody. So
Oh yeah, this could turn.
you know,
south
and I'd
quick.
just feel like shaking them, like, how do you tell if it's and
Our
just
next
opening
24 hours, the mental health of our whole family unit is dependent on what comes out of this LOL surprise doll
I
package.
know,
I've
it's like-
opened enough of those
She's-
balls.
and
I
then
know exactly
I
what
couldn't
they
tell.
are.
Like she'd be like, "Oh, this is a good one. This is a bad one." But to me, I couldn't really tell the difference, which would be
They're all
good or bad.
Just kind of
They're
roundish
adorable.
gal with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
big
yeah.
Yeah,
head
some was,
and
you know, a
some
fox
sunglasses.
hat. Some were looking like another animal. I'm like,
Do you have more things you want
One
to show
more
us?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I brought you a present, Ben.
Oh, actually, before I show you that, here.
Paperwork.
Oh,
Every piece that I make,
Yes.
I
Oh,
give everybody
great.
because I want to make stuff. So I wanted early on
Oh,
to make
nice.
stuff feel official.
yes.
Amazing.
So everybody gets a death
Yeah.
certificate of authenticity.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
nice.
That's
stickers
Thank
or
you.
whatever.
Excellent.
But to show you guys for your figures, the
Yes.
um, weirder together figures. I took some old toys, some newer figures that are meant to look old. I chop them up. I find things that I think will work, and then I add additional sculpting things. So this was you, Ben. I don't know whose head that was. The body.
Handsome
I think,
fella, though. Handsome fella. Yeah.
Almost
Yeah,
too
yeah.
handsome. The body, I think, is Back to the Future. Maybe Biff. I wanted something that had the collar up so I could get the stripes on there.
Gotcha.
Amazing.
Sculpted some hair on you, and then I make a mold of this using silicone stuff, and then pour resin, 2-part resin in, and then that hardens into a thing like this. This is you, Ione.
Wow.
So I had sculpted your hair kind of like this, and then these are what the pieces come out when we do multiples. Since you guys have a set, I did another one. So you can have these.
Oh
really
my
lovely
God.
things.
So the
And then
sculptor this
actually
clay.
poured one more mold of your head, Ben, so that I could make you your
Yes!
That's amazing.
Oh my God. That's
That is
exciting.
unreal. No one's winning this in a competition. This is all mine.
That's
all
mine. That was for
amazing.
you. That artist, what a great.
The fully jacked version.
Oh yeah, I took some liberties on your dad body and kind of just jacked you up a
Great.
bit.
That's the Hollywood.
Oh, and you credited the artist.
Yeah, that guy Dave.
That's
What a
great.
great
I know.
illustration he did.
Yeah, I was
That's
going to say
awesome.
it contains smoldering sexuality. Bentley action figures sold separately.
This is the Hollywood
So
version of a dad
good.
bod.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's
So,
what they would say.
again, you got to take those creative
I
I
love that.
licenses. So, yeah.
absolutely love
That's
this.
brilliant.
Amazing.
We'll enjoy it, dude. And like I said,
God, that's so
seeing you
cool.
at the Metro, real fun. But it was somewhere on Instagram too, seeing you just doing DJ Dad Bod. And I don't
Yeah.
remember what the first thing I heard you do was, but it was something. And it hit so hard, dude. And I was like, this is so good. And it reminded me, like I said, seeing you at the Metro where you're looping drums and then you're putting piano over it. And I do a little bit of all of those instruments, not good like you at all, but I like playing all of them. And so I could see you like, oh shit, this is awesome, dude. And then to stumble upon you however many years later on Instagram and have the same thing where I'm like, oh, is he putting that with, oh shit. This is awesome, dude. And I commented something. I was like, dude, this rules so hard. And you like responded, or I just got something that was like, Ben Lee liked your comment. I was like, oh, screen grab. Mark, my brother, who we saw, together. And so, yeah.
Well, I think part of the affinity I felt as soon as I saw your work was the same way I do whatever I'm doing, making music, or the way we do our podcast. Or it's just kind of like rolling your sleeves up and going like, let's make something. And that's really at the essence of like what Weirder Together is and what we do. So I'm just always like, whenever I see that vibe, I'm always like, yeah, that's the spirit the world needs more of.
Totally. And I think you guys vibe that way, and I appreciate that and like it. And I think it's fun to see. I don't know. I said it once before. You guys are just fun to watch, and you both have good energy. And I don't know. A lot of people put bad shit out into the world, even if they think they're doing good stuff, but it comes out with bad vibes, or it just comes out weird. And it's nice to see a couple of nice, genuine, good folks that
Yeah, we save all of our weeping and despair for 4 o'clock in the morning conversations. We keep them off the pod.
Yeah.
The
Turn
beautiful
camera
babies
off.
don't need to see that.
Yeah, that's not
No,
for
I
everybody.
think we still have a good vibe in an anxiety attack.
That's
I think.
true.
Sure, and I have that too. And I mean, I got to tell you, I was so nervous coming up here. This is the third shirt I've worn today. So I flew here
That's
today.
smart.
This
I've got to
morning.
start doing
I was
that,
up at
changing.
4:30,
Yeah.
which here would have been 2:30 time.
Right.
So bedtime
Yeah.
almost. Changed when we got here.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm already sweating through this next shirt. Let's take off Running Man and we'll put on one more because I was just nervous meeting you guys. And I don't know. I appreciate that. It's
man.
been
Well,
really
it's
fun.
awesome.
You guys
Good.
have such
Well,
a
we
cool-
appreciate and we love.
I know,
we
this is
love
exciting.
These. And
Awesome.
so we're gonna, we'll do a competition. We just got to figure out the way to do it exactly. But we'll give one of those sets away.
Awesome.
And
I love it.
absolutely amazing. So everyone should follow Death by Toys on Instagram.
Thank you, yeah.
Insta's the main. Do you do TikTok?
Yeah, but I'm never on there. I feel like I'm too old for it.
I don't know, man. There are people that can do interesting, the stories behind how
Yeah,
people like it.
Actually, I take back what I
true.
say. I don't feel like I'm too old. I will honestly just say I don't like making video.
Yeah.
I will if I have to.
Yeah.
If
But
someone came in and was like, I'll just sneakily record it and do it for you, that
You
would
can also
be
do it without you in it. You could just do evolution of the pieces or
And
something.
sometimes
you know?
I'll do,
Yeah,
and I've
yeah.
even done where I just screen grab like 5 religious toys and put a bumper on either side.
Cool,
and It's
cool.
like
Yeah.
5 religious or whatever. And even that, then it's like by the time I get the music
I
on
know.
there, I'm just like, God,
I'm
all
with you.
right.
I can do an Insta story, but I'm like TikTok. I'm yet to, I think you've been really good at doing them, but I find it. I just don't have.
You know what? It's a what is it? Malik always says it's a dirty game. You gotta get in there.
Sure.
Well, do you want to say goodbye to the beautiful babies? That's how we end every episode.
I'm at Beautiful Babies. Thank you for indulging me. And thanks you too for
Yeah.
having me on here. I really appreciate it.
Thank
It's
you.
the
Thanks
highlight of the year for
Oh,
me.
good. Thanks for coming.
Together we're weirder together.